Welcome to the first of my video reviews. Today we'll be looking at Sonic CD by Sega, a game many claim to be the best platformer the Blue Blur has ever appeared in. The plot is relatively simple. As usual, you're bouncing off Robotnik's robots when the pink Amy Rose, future Sorka and Prep Princess decides to show up and fall in love with you, hence the hearts. There's the girl, which seems to be in the opposite direction to her, so let's go with that. To be perfectly honest, it's not really much of a problem for Sonic, until she decides to show up again. Fortunately for him, there's a ledge where he can escape. However, she's quickly kidnapped by a blue robot resembling you. Now, she was annoying, but you don't want people to think you're some kind of pervert kidnapping girls, so off you go. Gameplay is very much the same as it's always been in the Sonic series, trying to get to the goal at the end of the level, smashing as many robots as you can and collecting rings to keep yourself alive, to get an all-important high score, though they did make a few changes. Keeping with the tradition of previous games, Robotnik will appear at every turn to try and stop you with an array of robots, machines and gadgets, all inherently flawed and with obvious weak spots. However, that doesn't matter because it's what we play Sonic games for. We expect this, it's part of the fun, and it would be weird if he didn't show up. I must say though, some of the encounters seem unimaginative and too easy. However, having said that, the tried and tested formula of kill me here works, so I'll let it slide. One of two new additions is a move called the Super Peel Out. The basic idea is you stand on the spot to get your speed up. It's useful for things like springs, however when we can already do this using the spin dash, you have to ask why you'd want to use the move. When you then consider that, after using the Super Peel Out, you're still vulnerable to attack, whereas with the spin dash you can still hurt any enemies you run into by accident at high speeds, it loses all merit. The other new addition is a much more major one. It's the ability to travel through time. To achieve this, you have to find a SAR post with either past or future written on it respectively. Past for the past, future for the future, which is rather obvious. There's one now for the past. Now, the reason for doing this is to get the best ending. Once you've gotten enough speed, you can enter the time warp, as you've just seen, which will take you to the past or future depending on which SAR post you used. Whilst in the past, you'll find fewer obstacles and enemies. However, there's another reason to visit the past version of a level. There are two machines to be found in the past, the first of which will show Metal Sonic stomping on small animals. This is just a projection. If you destroy the machine, it disappears, and the animals will be set free in the future. The other machine's slightly more important. It's the machine that Robotnik uses to produce badniks. This is commonly harder to find, for obvious reasons. However, if you can destroy both the projector and the robot-producing machine in both the first acts of each zone, then in the third act, where you usually fight Robotnik, there'll be no badniks present, and lots of animals set free, but Robotnik will still be there. You can tell if you've attained this, because at the end of the stage, you'll get the notice "made a good future," rather than pass the zone. Here we have what the third act of the first zone usually looks like. It's dark, dank, decrepit, and overrun with robots. Here we have the good version of that future. This is what you get if you manage to destroy both machines in the first two acts of the zone. As you can see, there are no robots to destroy, and animals roam free. But there's also another change. It's not anything major, but usually Robotnik would appear in an intimidating red machine which will slowly stalk towards you. However, in the good future, it's a much less intimidating, well, pink. Either way, it still goes down the exact same way. There doesn't seem to be any difference between the difficulty or the length of the fight whether you're in the good or bad future. The only thing it affects is which ending you'll eventually get. The other way to get this good ending is to collect all the time zones. Simply get to the end of each level with 50 rings and jump through the giant ring to go to the special stage. The time zones are basically this Sonic game's equivalent to the Chaos Emeralds, and if you collect all 7, then every future you go to will be the good future, regardless of whether you destroyed the machines or not. The special stages are set out as 3D environments, wherein you must destroy a set number of UFOs to collect your time zone. However, I would not recommend this method over the good future method, simply because it is harder. This special stage will be almost impossible to complete every time, and it's all to do with the control system. The controls are sluggish and unresponsive, meaning Sonic commonly will hit barriers, not attack enemies, or not have enough space to turn, hence getting caught in corners. The other major issue with these special stages is the collision detection, in which you'll find that you can't hit the UFOs half the time. That was apparently a miss. And it seems that the game decides on a whim whether or not it actually wants you to hit this thing or not. Let's try again.